Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Binman. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Give this video a thumbs up because today we are doing this look, which is based on Beetlejuice and also Dorian Gray. Definitely more Dorian Gray, but with some Beetlejuice inspiration as well, so stay tuned. I've already washed my face and done my skincare, so now we are going to combine that idea of Dorian Gray and Beetlejuice together. So that deterioration of skin, but also remaining human-like instead of ghoul-like. So even though Dorian Gray becomes quite a horrible, horrible person by the end of the book, I don't feel like he's ghoulish. He's not dead. He still should have some kind of that skin peeking through, but he should not look well. So we're gonna prep and prime the skin like we normally would. So I'm taking my NARS primer and I'm taking that from the lash line all the way up to the brow. I'm then going to make sure that my eyes are nice and tight lined so that I can kind of almost a little bit of that rocker smudgy look, but I'm going to be using a dark purple around the eyes to make myself look really tired and just more Beetlejuicy. I'm going to lift up my lid and just really gently get that black on there. And then of course I'm going to do any correcting that I need to do. So I'm going to take my BOBBI brown corrector and just tap that in underneath the eye. So now I'm going to go in with number 9 foundation, which is actually, because somehow I've gotten some kind of sun this season, that the number 9 is just slightly paler than I am, but it is going to work just fine in this instance. I am going to use the Beauty Blender just to add a little bit of extra hydration into the skin because we are going to be using quite a few powders to give us that definition, and they are going to be more on the eyeshadow category because I just have far more colors in that than I do actual stage makeup. So part of the fun of doing these videos is taking what you have and seeing how creative you can be with that. So just giving myself a nice coating of foundation, maybe a little bit heavier than I would normally go for every day. And then I'm gonna start to turn myself into kind of like a sickly kind of person. The next thing I want to do is grab my glycolic peeling mask. So pretty much any kind of peeling mask will work for this, but I do love that idea with Beetlejuice that his skin is like deteriorating before your very eyes. It's almost peeling off even though he's been dead for a while. So because this is clear, we can just start to work that into the skin, and then we'll be able to kind of pull that away a little bit later. I can also kind of color this if I want to by mixing Fix Plus in with some kind of powder or anything like that. So I have a little bit of that mask kind of here, and then he also has it over here. But first, I think what I want to do is do a little bit of sculpting around there with a green eyeshadow. I have Omega and I have Marsh from MAC, and I'm going to play with both of these because they're definitely on the greener scale. I'm going to start with Omega and just start to define my face the way I normally would, and then we will start to play from there. So taking Omega, really gently putting that all over the lid, bringing it up into the socket and then into the crease with my 201, super, super fluffy, just giving a little bit of definition. And normally I would say that this color is, you know, phenomenal. It's a great skin tone color, but when you start adding in that green and the purples, that's when you can start to look sickly, which is what we want because Dorian Gray's bad deeds start to show on his face, which I absolutely love. It's like karma that happens right away. I'm also going to take Omega and just start to sculpt my cheekbones a little bit. So where you would normally put any contouring powder or cream just underneath that cheekbone, making sure that you're not dragging down the face, just that hollow part. It's usually right around the middle part of your ear that you're thinking, and we can start to see that the mask is starting to dry, and we'll be able to start pulling that away and adding a little bit of that marshy green to it. You know, we do want to look kind of sickly because we've been doing such awful deeds, right, as Dorian Gray. So I'm going to go a little bit more extreme with the contouring, And of course, we will be adding in that green as well. But I do want to look like my bone structure is also deteriorating. I'm almost being like sucked in from the inside. It's not really about looking old. It's just about playing with your bone structure and taking things a little bit too farther than you normally would. And that will really help to not only sculpt your face in kind of an unattractive way, but also to create that depth between the light and the shade. And of course we're going to do the nose, because the nose will also start to deteriorate as well. And I'm even going to bring up a little bit around the hairline. I always like to start with more of a neutral color if I'm kind of playing with bizarre colors like greens or purples, just so that they have something to hold on to, and so I can kind of sculpt out the face first and go from there. I'm actually going to take Omega again with my 217 and start to define my eye just a little bit better. While I'm doing this, I can also really think through, where am I going to put that green? Where am I going to put that purple? Where are the best places to do that placement? Now in Beetlejuice, the brows are quite dark, I think in contrast not only to the white of his face, but also almost to show like a hollowed out area of his face and to stand up against the really dark purple. I'm going to just knock off what I have on my 217. I'm going to go into Scene and I'm going to start adding that in underneath my eye. Scene is normally a very beautiful color, but again, when you take things to the extreme, just like Dorian, then it starts to become not quite so beautiful. The beautiful part of it becomes ugly, just like his soul. You can see that my eyes are starting to bug out in a weird kind of way, and then just starting to feather that from the inner corner out. Starting to create those darker circles, again from all those late nights of bad deeds. And you can darken this as much as you want and just really go for it, or you can keep it a little bit more subtle. I do want to keep kind of that pocket that happens underneath the eyes. I want to make it nice and round under here to kind of follow where my natural bags are, honestly. It's an interesting idea that Oscar Wilde has of the deeds that you do showing up on your face, showing up on your skin, because we know that whatever we eat, how we sleep, what we drink will show up in our skin eventually, but that has nothing to do with the kind of person that we are. So it's a really interesting idea that he had, and to hide that away I think is also, it's just very clever. Alright, we are looking properly tired now. So we can decide if we want to bring this purple up as well and do that kind of Beetlejuicy. But what I want to do is I want to start grabbing that green, and I think I'm going to go with a clean brush so I can use that one again in the purple if I need to. So I'm going to go into Marsh and I'm going to start messing around with the top part of my lid and see if I can't almost create like a fungus look. Again, this could easily be a really pretty look, but we're taking it too far. And then I'm going to take that Marsh, going to add it into Omega, anywhere where I put Omega. And you can see just adding that little bit of green does really make the skin look bruised. And it also just gives it like a horrible color, doesn't it? And then of course we have to deteriorate the sides of our face as well. I'm going to take my concealer brush, which is kind of nice and fluffy, and just kind of start to blend that out. So anytime you take those bruising colors, the greens, the purples, you're just going to start to look really unhealthy. I remember one Halloween I worked at Sephora and I did a zombie look, and a woman came in and she was terrified, and you know, I'm like smiling at her and trying to make her at ease, and she just had to leave the store. It was too much. Bring that bruising in a little bit more too. Taking whatever's left on my brush on my nose. We're going to take a little break, and I'm going to make sure that I fill in my brows. And I am going to press down harder. So this is my normal brow pencil, but I'm going to press down just a little bit harder to make it, again, awkward. Of course, I also want to pale up my lips, so I'm going to go back into Omega and start tapping that in. Anything pink, pinky red we want to get rid of. And then going into Marsh and also adding that in as well. Going back in with my concealer brush and kind of playing with the shadow a little bit. Just kind of softening those edges. I think I'm going to go back in and amp that up a little bit more. Before I amp that up, I am going to go in with the Kajal liner and just give myself a super smudgy lid. I'm going to go back into scene and kind of amp up around the eyes. Okay, we are looking really properly disgusting now. I just reapplied that mask and now we're gonna let it kind of sit. But while it's sitting, we're gonna add a little bit of coloration to it. If you're completely freaked out at this point, it is totally understandable. I'm gonna grab Marsh and just start to tap that in. And then taking my concealer brush, softening those edges. And now we're really looking like we are deteriorating from the outside. We're gonna add a little mascara and then I would say we're good to go. And that is the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial. I think, you know, beauty is a really interesting thing, right? Sometimes it's kind of scary to go in this area, and yet Dorian Gray goes in this area, and we all love Beetlejuice. So make sure that you check out the book talk from Wednesday. Make sure that you are following me on Instagram and watching the shorts in between for before and afters and lots of outfit inspiration to make your life a little bit easier and a little bit more glossy. I promise next week, next Friday's makeup look will not be so frightening. Thank you again for watching and I'll see you very soon. Bye.